I wanted to do candle glasses. So I wanted to paint for the Christmas market as I did last time. And this time we're going to paint on small candle glasses. They are about half the size of my normal ones. And I'm going to have a few technical issues as I usually do here in the beginning, just with the setup and so on. But since people kind of join a little bit later, once they kind of figure out that there is a live, I think that's all right. So what I have to see is if my brush is in the way here, and I don't think it is. You can see me here in the background, but I only have one camera, so that's kind of how it's going to be. And let's start. So this is a Northern Lights candle glass. I'm just going to paint some trees in front of it, basically, and kind of see how that looks. So let's see. There we are, and then just paint detailed trees in front of it. These small candle glasses shouldn't be as overly detailed. Hi, Natalie. Welcome to the stream. Nice to have you here. So I just want some really finely detailed, but only kind of black trees in front of the Northern Lights here. And I need to paint with really, really thick black paint so that it hides what I've engraved. So I've engraved a few candle glasses for this stream already because the sound is quite loud. Welcome, Kaylin. Nice to see you, and I'm glad that you could join this live stream. So yeah, I have already engraved a few candle glasses here so that they are ready for this session. And the only thing that kind of that they need is one more layer of details. Mostly, at least the ones that I've engraven. It depends on how many we do here. I have quite a lot of candle glass that aren't engraved, and they need details first and then to be engraved. But I thought these might be the most interesting ones. Let's push it a bit. So this is glass painting that needs to be in a kiln and fired at 580 degrees Celsius, and then it fuses with the glass. So the paint doesn't actually stick to the glass until it's been burnt in the kiln. Just have to watch out here. So the lovely thing that I discovered probably about a year ago was that I could engrave the candle glasses after I had painted them, which basically just means removing the paint again afterwards so that it's much, much easier to make stars and to make these northern lights and so on. So it's really changed the way I paint on glass. And it's made it much, much more fun. So there are just a lot of things that it's possible to do now that I couldn't do before. So you can just go around a few times. I thought maybe establishing just where the trees are and then make the details more intense afterwards. I wasn't entirely sure if it was going to be that visible here. But I think, yeah, you can see it really, really well actually. So I am painting for the Christmas market that we're going to be on. It's the first time we've ever been on a Christmas market in the lovely city of Röros here nearby. And I wanted lots of small things that it's possible to kind of sell as Christmas presents. And so instead of painting a lot of huge glasses and so on, I've settled on a lot of smaller things. So for instance, these small candle glasses that should be a bit simpler. I always love painting this monochrome. You can really just focus in on the details. And it's a really nice way of painting. Do you enjoy painting on one material more than another? This painting, well, it's very different than a canvas. I suppose if you've started with glass painting before you started with anything else, it wouldn't necessarily be that much more difficult. Since I started with oil painting, I find that much, much easier. But actually, well, what do I enjoy the most? It's very difficult to say. There are different times. I like the variety. After I have painted on on canvas with oil for a long time. I really, really enjoy painting on glass, for instance. It's such a different way of painting. But if I were to choose just one, I would choose oil painting, I think. Um, that said, glass painting, because of the possibility of engraving, really does create new opportunities of painting that you just don't have on a canvas. But there are definitely a lot of things that you can't do here that I can do with oil, which has more to do with kind of the technical things and how you mix colors and painting in layers and so on. But of course, on glass painting, you can paint with gold, you can paint with different metals. It's possible to engrave it, so you can paint with true light. So I've really, really grown to love glass painting. Røros, like a tourist town or mostly locals? So Røros is very much a tourist town. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So if you're imagining a very, very local place, it's not. It's a small town, but it's for its size, it has. So I think 5,000 people live there, and it has like 1 million visitors each year. Actually, 1 million. It's not just to emphasize how much. I think there are around 1 million visitors a year. So yeah, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It used to be an old copper mine town. So it's very, very much a tourist place. And a lot of artists have actually settled there. So for the size, there are galleries on every street corner, lots of hotels and cafes. So and just a magical Christmas market. So it's not a very local thing. There are trains set up from Oslo that take people there. So it's and I say it's very international too. I mean, you hear all kinds of different languages there. So I would say it's very very much a tourist place. Any other town in this area that's about the same size as Røros has a completely different feel and it's much more local. Um, but yeah, that gives it a very different flavor. The city, it's incredibly protected too, so there aren't very many new buildings and so on. So you still have a very old feel, mingled with very much a celebration of its history and therefore also tourists, of course. So it's a very special atmosphere in Røros. And that's actually one of the reasons why we wanted to settle in this place, is because we would like Røros to be the our kind of main little city-ish town, just because of this very small local place mixed with a very international atmosphere. Lots of artists. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't been to Røros, it's a completely wonderful experience. It should definitely be visited. An extremely cold place. It's actually colder than here, although it's about the same latitude. How they managed to build a mine there, I don't know. It is really, really nice. I really, really love it. And I hope that some people will be able to come and visit us there, since we've never done anything kind of in out in public. This will be the first time to actually meet people that have followed us along the way and so on. So it's and I know a few people are going to be there. Of course, it's very far away from most, but yeah, we're very very excited about that. So on Wednesday, we're going to start to set up the little booth that we have. Um, it's a very well organized market, so they kind of do everything for you, and then you get your place and you get your little booth. We've already set up in in one of the bedrooms here. We've set up almost the exact same measurements for the booth, so that we can plan it here. And Lena has already built a lot of the things that we're gonna place the candle glasses and so on. So yeah, lots of work, lots of preparations, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun and very, very interesting to see if we get to meet some people there that have followed us on this little path of ours. So I think I'm just going to establish the trees here. I wasn't really planning on making this many, but I can't seem to stop. And then I'm going to go around once again and look at the details and kind of finish up the trees. And I want a little bit of some kind of branches and stuff in front of the lights, then you get the feel of them being further away. For someone visiting Norway for the first time, it's in the area. I've never left the US before, so I'm very eager to travel, and Norway is definitely a goal of mine. Oh, so there are lots of places. It, of course, depends a little bit on what kind of a person you are. I would, of course, recommend this area. Um, we traveled a bit around, and the Lofoten area is kind of a must see if you really want that Norway experience. And depending if you come in the summer, you can see the midnight sun. Lofoten, if you just look it up, it's kind of a half island archipelago off the western coast in mid to northern Norway, with some of the most amazing fjords and cliffs just going right out into the fjords. It's an incredible, incredible place. It's, of course, Norway is very, very long country, so it depends a little bit on how you're going to travel around. Um, from here, it's actually, I think, it's about 10 hours or more to Lofoten. So I think it depends a bit about how you travel. The western coast is absolutely stunning, so the classical fjords, but that's very far away from Lofoten. But yeah, I think I would recommend Lofoten. It's just incredible. We were there. If you look at Lena's video, I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but if you look at Lena's videos, you can watch our travels to Lofoten, and you get to see a little bit of the area and just the views there, and of course experiencing the midnight sun is definitely something that well, it's a completely different experience. Almost no one lives above the Arctic Circle in the world. It's only because of the Gulf Stream that's possible in Norway. So to experience that, it's definitely worthwhile. If you go in winter, I would still recommend Lofoten, and you'll have the northern lights there. If you plan well, and of course, I would recommend Røros. You could travel to Norway and then kind of either drive up the coast or take the train, and you can go through Røros, up the coast through Trondheim, and then up the coast to Lofoten. Yeah, I think that's my little travel blog recommendation. So here, I tend to overdo this a bit. I was planning on doing it very simply, but is it possible to go that far up by train? So I'm trying to remember how far up the train goes. The train goes quite far up. I'm not sure if it goes all the way to Lofoten. If it doesn't, you can take a bus up the rest of the way. But it actually goes surprisingly far up. At least I think to Mo i Rana, which is at least not terribly far away. The cold and the snow next winter. All right, yeah, definitely. And in the winter, of course, I think Røros is the most beautiful place ever. Um, it goes to Bodø. Yes, see, there we have a more local person than I am, having grown up outside of Oslo. So if you take the train up to Bodø, then I am sure that Maria can tell you how far it will be to Lofoten. Because we traveled with van, obviously, so I can't tell you too much. And the distances up there are incredibly far. You really do have to plan differently than you do if you travel around Europe. So Central Europe. Of course, we are still in Europe, but sometimes it feels like we're in a different world here. But I think for Americans, the distances are probably more understandable than usual. Europe, Central Europe is tiny compared to the States, but actually, if you're traveling in northern Norway, you're getting a bit more to those really long stretches of just one road. Kind of these messages of travel straight up for 5 hours, then turn left and something like that. Bodø surely isn't that far away from Lofoten, is it, Maria? I do have my engraving pen with me here in case we wanted to engrave a little bit, but I think it's quite a bit too loud. I can try to turn it on once. I can do that afterwards and see if it is too loud. I have a new, not a new one, but I have a different engraving pen that I did last time I tried this because the other one is just way too loud. And I can't have that on a live stream, but this one might be possible, although you probably wouldn't hear me while I engraved. But if you would like to do some more stars and so on something like this, and you would like to see the engraving process, we can do that later. I've only experience with the ferry from Bodø to Värö. Yeah, that takes around 6 hours, right? Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. But that is a very good recommendation. Is ferries and boats off the coast. Then you can see the landscape beautifully. 8-hour round trip to New York in a single day. Yeah, okay. Those are the kind of distances that you have to think about here. We are getting used to those as well. And if you're not intimidated by that, then I think taking a car, you can rent a car and travel around is a wonderful thing to do. Then you can follow your impulse a bit more. And you can get to see lots of different strange little places where people usually don't travel to, for instance. I think we've gone around here once. This probably needs to be in the kiln, and I probably need to paint the rest of it with a little bit more light. As I said, engraving might be fun. I'm gonna turn it on once. I'll put on a different candle first. I'm just gonna turn it on once and have you guys tell me if it's complete racket and awful, or maybe it's not that bad. Let's see, I put it somewhere here. It's a complete mess. Thankfully, the camera doesn't show the situation here around me too much. But yeah, I'll just turn this on. There you can see the red light from my little electricity setup here. And if you can tell me if this is much too loud, is this just completely insane? Or can you even understand me while I am doing this? I'm gonna put this away for now. And get a different candle glass up. So, the one I thought I would do after this, I have to make sure I don't touch what I just painted. The ones that I've already put here. That's not too loud? Because that could be interesting to actually... let's do a little bit of engraving. It would be fun to show you how I do this. And I think it's a nice thing to kind of see happen. And if you can understand me while I do it, that's fun. And it shouldn't take too long either. Depends on. So just let me know if it is too loud. So usually I have face mask on, but for now I would like to talk a little bit. and this doesn't do too much dust. It's not as bad as my big one, and it's a really, really fun process. So here I've already done a little landscape, and let's get the sun. Let's just get the sun from the background, and I'm just gonna have to put my arm around here. And then we just remove. Very different than painting, and at the same time it's strangely similar. An incredibly satisfying process. But let me know if you would rather I started painting on something instead of this. I just thought it was fun to show you a little bit about how it's done and how the engraving process is done. It's really opened up a completely new avenue of kind of a creative process here. And I really like to just remove this. I don't mind either way. That's very cool. Very good. I'll go around a little bit, and then we can paint on it afterwards. So I'm just going to imagine that there's... Thank you. So I'm just going to imagine that there's a sun, that the candle is a sun, and it's lighting up the forest from behind. And that just sets up the entire process. So I don't have to think a lot about how to do this. And it's incredibly satisfying. It's like painting with real light. I've always wanted to do that, and now it's actually possible. So it really feels like you just basically have light in your hand when you do this. It takes me quite a while to realize all the things that you can do, and there's still probably a lot that I haven't explored. So I did contemplate not doing this too extreme, so I probably shouldn't do it this detailed over the entire thing. So we can imagine that the sun is somewhere like here. We don't have to imagine that actually, we can just paint, we can actually just engrave it in. Do you have any engraved pieces in the online store? So all the candle glasses that I have in the shop are engraved. I don't do any candle glasses anymore that aren't, and they're engraved to quite an extent. So it's not like just one tree. Every candle in the shop is engraved. So all the things that you see on the candle glasses in the window in the dark, almost everything that glows there, it's all engraved. Yeah, I did consider doing things that aren't engraved and just sometimes engraving, but I just really like the fact that they're engraved. So yeah, I just started to do it on everything. Yeah, so here we have the sun in the background. And then some of these branches are blocking out the sun, I think. So you just have to be careful not to remove all of them because we actually want them to soak up a little bit of the light, so we get that feeling of branches in front of the sun, and then where the sun isn't, we continue with the sunlight. So the lovely thing is just to imagine that this is the light source of everything, and then it's very easy to continue. Yeah, so since this should be a little bit simpler, I'm not going to go and engrave absolutely everything. So I think if we imagine that none of this is engraved, well, that's not okay. Let's just engrave it really quickly all around. We'll do it more detailed here, more light here that is gone, or the more light, and then once we go all the way around, it's going to be less and less and less because the light there is less and less light because the sun is here. So every time I try to do something simple, it doesn't really work. So this is actually one of the things that I think everyone can do and do really nice things with. So if you want to start with glass painting, I recommend these engraving machines are really, really cheap and it's really easy to use. And you just need to paint the glass and then start to engrave, and it almost always looks nice. So I think it's a hobby that I think a lot more people could do without too, well, of course you need a kiln. But there are glass paints that you can do in the normal oven, so you might not need a kiln actually. And then this quite easy to use engraving pen. It's just so much fun. Thank you. Let's go this way because then it's you can see more. And of course, you could just buy, I suppose, glasses that are that have paint on them and then engrave those. So you might not even need a kiln. Oh, it is getting cold. I am going to have to get some more wood for the stove soon, I think, or at least open it up. It's 25 minus outside. It's probably even colder than Röros. And my studio is not winter isolated. There's actually frost on the windows inside here. Oh wow. Alright. Yeah. Once we've engraved this all the way around, I'm just gonna have to get a few logs for the fire, because this is getting too cold. 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Can you translate that into Celsius? Fahrenheit and Celsius do really strange things to each other. Now, minus 40 is the same, and then they just diverge completely. $10 degrees. that is easier to understand. Okay, let's not go too crazy with the engraving. Let's just make some little... Hey, and there we are around. Wonderful. There we are. Okay, I am going to see if I can't get a little bit more wood for the fire. I might just actually take you guys with me. As you can see here, we have frost on the inside of the windows. I'm going to survive for long. Of course, I have it completely dark in here. And there we have the fire. So I need to take my slippers on. There we have my little setup. I need to get my slippers on, and let's see if we can't find some firewood. Here we are outside, and it's it's freezing cold. So I'm just gonna sneak out a little bit. There we have the moon, and sadly you can't really see many stars here on this phone. Let's just see. This is wonderful live streaming. But I need to get a little bit of firewood. Otherwise, this is just going to get much, much too cold. There we are. Let's get the door up. Whew. Quickly get the door. A little field trip. Well, I thought instead of just leaving you there, let's just take you along. This is going to burn quite well. I'm just going to open this up, close this, and it's going to go really well. There, oh, you saw way too much of the complete mess that I have in here. We have about, I think, 26 minus. And here we are again. And here you can see me properly. Let's get the phone onto my setup, and there we are. All right. Didn't seem to lose too many of you. All right. And I could put my little oven on that's underneath me as well. Jesus, this is... So it gets a lot colder here, but last year I don't think we had more than -30. The record is apparently -50 something, but that we have never experienced. And I don't think I have to experience that. All right. There we have one engraved candle glass. And then I thought maybe one little tree in front here. Just to kind of frame it a bit in a way. No, to make something more interesting, so it's not just that. So I think we're going to plant a tree. Let's see here. So if we plant it, that is a problem. Of course, you have to make sure that you get rid of all of the things that you, because that's going to burn into the glass, and then you can't really get it away if you don't engrave it away. So let's get a tree, plop it down here, and make it really, really detailed, I think. Can do this a bit more like so. There we are. Okay. And my brush isn't destroying it. No. Catch my breath. Otherwise I don't have a steady hand. Look for my more detailed brush, which is over here. And there we are. So I think just one. Let's not completely overdo it. I already overdid it a little bit on the engraving. Could probably do more field trips on the live streams. I think there are lots of fun things that it's possible to do, and sometimes perhaps have a live stream out in nature. In summer, probably would be better. But any feedback is good. If there are any more wishes for more field trips and things during the live streams, let me know. Or if I should just sit here and plan better. Perhaps you can hear the fire crackling in the background. I think if there's only going to be one tree, at the very least, let's make it really, really, really detailed. Field trips are always exciting. Very well. Good. Okay, some more field trips. Very, very good. I'll have to plan some field trips then during these streams. And it's absolutely beautiful here now. The lake has just frozen over. It takes it a while. We've had a week at least already with -20 before. But the lake is so big that it needs a long time to lose all the heat that it stored up over the summer, and only now it's actually frozen over completely this morning. Any ideas for field trips? I mean, just practical things, of course, make sense. But perhaps at some point I could show you a little bit around as well. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this YouTube channel, and I'm experimenting around what kind of things are fun. Like my last video and maybe some more things like that. But live streams is something I really, really enjoy. So I have to figure out how I can use that more. Maybe a trip to say hi to the dogs. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to do that to Lena now without letting her know first, but maybe next time. Let's see. I'm not someone who plans a lot, so life is actually a really good thing. Then you don't have to sit around, plan, and wrap your mind around things, and you can just let it happen. And you can always delete the footage afterwards and pretend that people didn't watch you live. So let this get this little movement. So I'm imagining that this is a pine tree. and they have kind of the branches a little bit like this, especially the small ones. Often a trick with getting the trees to look realistic is just to repeat one single pattern. I was considering painting on some pine needles on some of these branches. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe a few. And then this candle glass should probably be done soon. And we can go ahead on the next one. Only problem is I have it completely dark here and I can't really see the colors. Maybe we'll just make it black, which is the color I have here. So tiny, tiny little needles. Well, not the actual needle. We're just gonna do the kind of the shape, because this is too small to do anything more detailed than that. I'm really, really in the small little detail painting at the moment. I've been painting on Christmas orbs and talismans and keychains, and all of that is very, very much detail work. Do you have an idea about when you will be adding on to the painting course? Right. Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad that you asked that. So our plan, and I'm not going to make any promises, but our idea was that this spring or this winter, because Lena has her new camera now, so we can make new courses. We are going to do quite a few modules for the course, kind of in one go, and then release them slowly but surely, which might actually be as late as next autumn. But at least so that we can film a bit just in one go. Because once you're in it and you have the setup and everything, it's easier. So to make a few modules and then release them kind of as one at a time as the year progresses. But yeah, I would really like to do more of that too. If I get a little bit better of a setup here with the live streams and so on, at some point perhaps you can do some live painting with the people from the course and invite you all of you guys to kind of a group painting session or something. But those are all ideas that have to be worked out a bit more. All right, that's as far as we go with this one, I think. Let's see what the next one. So I have to blow it out. Get that out. Put it away so I don't touch it and ruin it. And then we'll put on the next one. So any ideas about if we should engrave or if we should paint? First one to say something gets it. So either we will be engraving this and we would just engrave in the snow, or we can paint on the purple glass that's there. That would be more detail work again. So if no one says anything, then I will probably decide here. Leave you a little bit of time. I'm trying to see all of the different possibilities. I have so many. Engrave the snow. Very well. And that's what we're going to do. So everyone prepare for a little noise again. We are going to engrave the snow. So this is a bit of a different way of engraving. This will be imagining that all of the branches, all of the small branches have frost on them. So they are white. The big ones, these are all the big ones. They don't have frost on them. So if you see birches and something in the winter, only the small ones sometimes will have frost, and you will see the kind of the black stems, but all of the tiny little branches are all completely white. So that's what we're going for here. And I hope you can see that well. So we might want to have, let's see if we can, yeah, I think so. Problem is, of course, this isn't as dark as I would like to have it to engrave snow. Maybe, because it's quite light. So maybe we should engrave the snow on one of my other glasses. Let's see here. If perhaps I have an idea. Oh. Don't need to engrave the snow on a light one. We can actually engrave the snow on a completely dark one. That would be much easier to see and much more fun to do. So we'll engrave trees onto this. We can then engrave, instead of just branches, we're just going to engrave the entire tree on it. So let's start here with a fir tree. Nope. Let's not disturb that. There we are. Oh. And again, let's not do an overkill. So let's not. I'm gonna have to try to not do them all the way around. Let's get some kind of just groups of trees here. And then we can have some trees that are laden down with snows, like this. I've seen birches in winter, they bend completely, sometimes they even get stuck in the snow. I agree, Sarah. It's I love engraving exactly for that. It's such a satisfying thing to do. Which is also why it's often difficult to stop. But yeah, let's not do an overkill. Let's get it a bit away and then start a new one here. Oh, you definitely do. It's so much fun. gonna say I could show you a little bit how to do it in the course, but of course, I mean, this is showing you how I do it, at least. Probably don't need more than that. That is true, absolutely. Some different module just for glass painting, but of course that'll be it all its own kind of a thing. It really is very different than oil painting. Although a lot of the techniques I use are very similar, so you can transfer it quite easily. But it's I have at least 6, 7 different oils. It's very much its own world. Oh, this autofocus is driving me a little bit insane. But I think we're doing half a decent job of it. And then let's get some stars. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that has to be one of the main another one of the courses that really is its own way of painting. And I've the Northern Lights and Winter Landscape is such a fun thing to paint. And yeah, a few different ways of doing it. Some really simple, and then you can always do it more and more complicated. The main difficulty here is to get the stars round, and that needs a little bit of concentration. Because making holes is not difficult. The difficult thing is to actually hold it steady enough to make them round. Falling snow is very easy. Round stars is not. And then remembering that stars are not spaced out evenly. They come in clusters. Yeah, I really, really love this season too. It's so inspiring. And with the cold outside now, it's so incredibly beautiful. I had to start painting winter motifs for the market and so on before the snow came. But it's so much easier now that everything is just so beautiful outside. Okay, so we have this one. And let's see, what else do we have here? We have some clouds and some. So, any opinions? Should we continue to engrave or do we want to paint? I am really into the engraving part, so if no one tells me to do anything else, I think we'll just continue engraving. But let me know if you want me to start painting or something, because it is a bit noisy. Here I have a little bit of wax from the inside, I think. Need to get that away. So what I wanted to do here is to clear, to first clear the mountains. I'm good either way. We're good, very meditative. Very good. All right. I have no idea how loud this is for you guys. After this, I do think we have to transition into painting though. I usually have headphones when I do this. Although this pen isn't loud at all compared to my other engraving tool. And then I thought maybe the moon behind the clouds. Just damn that autofocus. So we'll just have to figure out where the moon should be. So of course we can see where the moon kind of is with the flame here, and then we'll engrave it in a satisfying place. I think there, that seems like it could be nice. And of course, there's always the difficulty. Should it be a half moon? Should it be a full moon? Not entirely sure. I'm just gonna start. See how we end up. And the most difficult thing is to just get it round. I usually don't succeed in that, but then I can obscure it a bit and hide things. There, I think we actually have. So we have a half moon, and then we'll get the light of the moon into the clouds. It's already in the landscape. And that might be, oh, and stars, of course. We need stars. Not entirely sure why my autofocus. Let's see here. Where is the autofocus? Is it? Okay. Here the autofocus seems to. I can't really show me because the autofocus seems to go in that way, but not important. I've seen enough of me. Let's. Okay, no autofocus. If my hand is here and I can sneak it in to hold it steady. Trying to remember that we shouldn't do it too extreme. So I'm not going to engrave the clouds all the way around like I might do on a large candle glass. I'm going to engrave it some distance away and then do stars. The iPhone camera, there's the ability to lock the focus. Well, there is, and there is on Instagram, but I haven't been able to do it here. So I've tried to hold it for a long time on the focus, but nothing happens here. I can press it, but nothing at all happens, and there's basically nothing I can hit and no button. So on Instagram there is. I haven't been able to find it here. So I'm not entirely sure if it does exist on YouTube yet. Might be one reason to actually put this back into Instagram instead of YouTube. But I like having it here. And then it's possible to follow the chat along after the live stream is done, which is not possible on Instagram. Oh, let's go the other way, because then you can see better what I just engraved. Having said that, I'm not going to engrave all of the clouds. It's not very hard, and it's not a very big job. I think maybe we'll do it, because I like the effect of it. Don't have to go on absolutely every detail, but I kind of like them being engraved. Because I'm imagining that the moon is on the side, the closer we are to the moon, and then all the completely opposite the further away we get. almost done. Whew. And then, oh, let's get some stars. Not too many. I mean, it's a moonlit sky, so with the moon there, usually you can't see as many stars as when it's not. And again, being careful that they are at least somewhat round. If I start engraving, that might solve my shading and color theory problem. With this, you just need to know where the light goes. Yeah, that is very true. There are absolutely things that does make it easier. What you can do sometimes, what I really like to do, was sometimes to just paint with one color, and then you just do it with light and dark, and that can be a really nice thing to do. Then you can just focus more in on shading and on details instead of all of the colors. And it can be really, really nice to do that. And then if you can always come in with the colors afterwards. All right, let's do some trees and small little detail work. Again, and a little bit of a break from that noise. It was fun to show you the engraving, but it is a noisy thing. There we are. This has already been engraved, as you can see, and what I wanted to do here is to paint in some trees again. Maybe just one tree, actually, because I kind of like the main setup here. I like the mountains, and let's just make one really, really detailed tree. Let's just figure out where it's going. So if we have like the mountain, let's get this a little bit further this way again, so that I can appear and we can have the setup here a little bit more. So what I wanted to figure out, as I said, is where to put the tree. So where the tree is going to be the place that's kind of the place in front. If you have it standing on a table, for instance, then that's what you want facing you. So for instance, something like this is nice. Then you have the mountain there. And then we can put the tree a little bit on the side. Or we have it something. So I wanted to place where the sun really shines. Yeah, I think this is actually a good place, because then the sun shines really nice through. We have the mountain, and we can get kind of the trifecta there, and then we'll have the little tree here. Let's get my detail brush, and then we'll do really, really tiny details, I think. And let's go into a little bit of a meditative tree painting mode with branches, and let's see if my brush doesn't seem to be interfering with my oh, there. Where does it do that? There. If it's something more like this. All right. And And then we can put the candle a bit further away so we can see more of the landscape. And let's get the tree down. So what I was thinking to do with the tree, as I said, is to go in really, really small. Let's make it an incredibly detailed tree and have it be the only tree on the entire candle glass. Instead of painting lots and lots, you just have to kind of flip it in the right direction, and that makes it possible to focus, really focus in on the small details on this tree. So even these lines are going to be quite big. These are the large branches. Then we'll make the small ones afterwards. Let's have it kind of a little bit more expansive than some of my other trees. So we'll have some branches that go far off. Some of them are going to be dead. Oh, yeah, that happens. Thankfully, on a candle glass painting, you don't have to be afraid of smudging things too much because the background paint is burnt on. And we'll just create this into that. Let's say that it's fallen off at some point. Really old ancient tree with some dead branches, lots of tiny little ones. So the more I paint, the less paint there is on my brush, and the easier it gets to paint small branches. Like so. Oh, there we have the autofocus again. Where does that happen? Yeah, maybe we'll want to do this on Instagram next time actually, because then we can just lock the focus, or at least put the focus somewhere else. I can't lock it there either. But here it seems to be fine. If we're a bit careful where we put the brush, we can just paint lines. Lots and lots and lots of branches. I really love that process, just to, it's not really about thinking where to place them. It's a feeling eventually that just, okay, it feels right. It should be a branch there should be some there, and you can just kind of let your mind go and it just happens on its own. So it's more to do with how it feels, how it looks, and than any plan. Since I'm not painting after a reference, it makes it a really meditative process. This is one of the reasons too why I thought it was so nice to stop painting from references and just painting from imagination, because you don't have to look at anything, and it's the process is much more relaxed because you can just really let your mind go. You don't have to try to replicate what you're painting. And I know a lot of these details, in some ways, they're not necessary to create something realistic. Often too many details make it look less realistic. But I always like the fact on these landscape paintings that you can just go closer and closer and closer and still kind of discover new things. Hi, Andreas. Well, welcome, but a bit loud. All right. Then I will not talk directly into the microphone. Often it's too silent. I'm leaning on top of my phone here. I can try to talk a little bit more silently. There are just I can lean back a little bit. Is this better? Let me know if I'm not yelling into your ear now. But hopefully it's better if it's a bit loud and you can just turn the volume down than if you can't hear me at all and turning the volume up doesn't do anything. And sometimes it is beneficial to lean away a little bit. You can get some perspective. And we can paint in the absolutely smallest branches here. It's funny that you say it's a bit loud. You should wonder what you would have said to my engraving. Um, because we did some live engraving here, which is really, really loud. There we are. Again, the nice thing with glass painting is that then you can remove painting too. So this paint actually does dry, but I do have paint, I mean, it takes a long time to dry, first of all. And you can actually remove paint in order to make the sun shine through a bit more, and you can get the details to come back again. Yeah, I have painting that doesn't dry, and you can do a lot more of this. It looks almost like a film because of the light. It looks like the trees moving in the wind. Oh, that is wonderful. Yeah, there are just these incredible effects that are possible. I am sure I am just at the beginning of glass painting, and there are so many things that I haven't even thought about yet. Every new element that you put into a process like this is going to open up so much, and glass painting has just so many elements, especially with engraving as well, that the possibilities are just kind of infinite. Yeah, I don't think there's that much more we can actually do here. I was just thinking that your tree looks something like something from Lord of the Rings. Oh, that's lovely. I love the Lord of the Rings. Came out when I was about 11, I think, the first one. So that mood and that world really, really sits in my bones. Kind of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, kind of the fantasy worlds that I grew up with, as a lot of people did, and still do. Absolutely, I have no idea how often I rewatched. Probably too many, if there is such a thing. Okay, I think we have this tree. Lovely. Let's see what can be next. I still have a lot of battery left on my phone. So the question is what to paint? What to paint? Just looking around me a little bit on the different. Well, I did a tree on that one. So we could of course do a little bit more engraving, but it was very loud and it is a bit nice with the silence now. So I think we'll do this one, which has been engraved already. I will do a tree in front of the sun. I have quite a specific thing in mind here, which is quite a detailed painting. Basically the same thing that we did now. So what I wanted to do is a very detailed pine in front of the sun here. Could do some clouds first though, now that I think about it. Let's do some clouds first. I did have a little plan in mind here. Let's get a different brush. And a little bit of paint on the brush. Let's see. Some red, I think, yeah. Kind of deep red on a huge brush. Don't have to refill it too often. And then what I wanted to do is to trace some of those clouds along in front of the sun. I think we can get the sun to go a little bit further into the background here. And we can do that on different clouds and kind of go around once. A little bit of cloud painting is nice for the stream too. I haven't really figured out the best things to do on the live streams yet. So it's a little bit of trial and error still. But I have some new oils, which means that I can paint thicker layers and I don't have to burn it as often in the kiln. And we can do some new things here, which are fun, which is, for instance, like this. Lion King vibes. Yeah, I know what you mean, absolutely. All of these films and these vibes that you are mentioning are absolutely okay with me. That's exactly the kind of kind of vibes I'm going for. So let's just go around once and kind of paint over a little bit and fill in some of these gaps and so on. It's just going to make it more realistic, make it more um, deeper, put it kind of more in depth in a way. I really enjoy. This is a brush I just newly discovered how good it is to paint clouds with. It has a huge carrying capacity for paint, but it has a really nice little tip, which means that you only have to fill it with paint once and it lasts for ages and you can still paint really detailed things with it. I actually think it's going to last for the entire trip around the glass here. So I didn't want just candle glasses that had kind of light snow or night. So I had some that are much, much more vibrant, like this one. How are your Christmas market preparations going, and how is your hand? Well, thank you for both questions, Luna. Well, this is part of my Christmas market preparations. They're going quite well. So, I mean, we have enough things that we could theoretically do it tomorrow. But the more time I have, the more things I can I have for the market. Um, so I have, I think, about 60 orbs. We have 40 talismans. We have 40 cups and 40 glasses. So the only things that I have left to do, well, only thing, we still have about 50 Christmas orbs that would be nice to finish. And well, I have about 100 small glasses, but I'm not going to be able to do more than about 30 or 40 of these. And some, well, all in all, lots and lots and lots to do. Lena has built the things that we can put them on for the stall. So she's been sewing and woodworking to finish the things where we can put it on. We have some wonderful postcards from Lena and so on. My arm is it's actually much better after I got these braces. So I had some problems with my arms. I've been painting too much basically, and not in a very good way. Or I did. That was a year ago, and I got well, it started to hurt in my arms, and I paint a little bit wrongly. I paint too much with my wrist, and I bend it too much. So now I got braces for both of my arms, which kind of holds them in place, and I don't use it in the wrong way. And that has really helped. So they're much better. I still need to take a break after this Wednesday, give them some rest. But they are much better. Oops, they are much better than they were. Thank you. There we are. Gone around once, and let's get the details going again. But yeah, so the Christmas market preparations are going well, and we are just really, really looking forward to the Christmas market now. Although it's going to be a lot of work, very new, and it's quite scary. I think it's going to be a lot of fun too. And I'm really hoping that some of the people that we know from these streams and from Lena's videos are going to come and visit us there. It's the first time we're actually going to be out in public like that. Never done anything like that before, so it's like anything like that. Of course, it's scary, but it's going. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So on Wednesday, next Wednesday, which is not that far away, we're going to go and find out where our stall is. We're going to start to prepare it, and then on Thursday, the Christmas market starts. Do you know where you will stand? Right, exactly. No, so we don't get a place until Wednesday when we come, and then they assign places. So I'm hoping we'll get a good place, but I don't really think there are any bad ones, since I'm assuming that most people that come to the Christmas market, they kind of do the round and basically discover everything. And we'll do a little bit of Instagram not commercials, we're just going to make stories and so on and let people know. So hopefully, if people want to find us, even if we're in one of those stalls that are in kind of the back streets, I mean in the kind of the backyards, I know it has this particular way that it's built. I hope that everyone is going to find us. The Christmas market, for those of you who have ever been to a German Christmas market, or I'm assuming some in the States as well, this is very, very different. This is a very small, very cozy Christmas market. Um, yeah, and it's not it's I although a lot of people do come, the market itself isn't that big. Um, there is an event in Röros in February, which is a much, much, much bigger. Although, Maria, maybe you can put me right on this. We were on the Christmas market last year, but we were not there on the opening day. And it was quite quiet and not too much going on, which we thought was really nice. I am not sure how it is on the opening day. It might be a lot fuller than than we realize. So perhaps a lot more people are there than I know. Um, it was not particularly busy when we were there last year. I can't remember which day that was though. Uh, and it might not be the opening day when it's busiest. It might actually be Saturday or Sunday. I know some people come all the way from Oslo, although it is very far. I think that's the main reason why there aren't that many people there, because of course it's around Christmas time and it's very far away from absolutely everywhere else. There are no large cities in kind of a normal, easy driving distance away from Røros. Trondheim is probably the closest large city, and that's still 4 hours away, which kind of is often a little bit too much for people to do a day trip. But there are special trains, and I do think all of the hotels are completely booked. So as I'm rambling on, I realize I am not entirely sure what we are signing up to. Yeah, thank you, Luna. Oh, that is so nice. Oh my God. Thank you so much. That is really heartwarming to hear. Especially as I said, we haven't really met almost anyone who follows us, so it's really difficult to know. Um, is there anyone who actually knows what I do? I know we sell and all around the world and so on, but it's since I haven't really met more than a couple of people that watch what we do, it's very difficult to judge. It was most people Saturday, yeah. Plane from Oslo is fully booked. Oh my God, they have extra flights. Oh my God. Yeah, okay. So Saturday is the main day. Then planes from Oslo. That doesn't, maybe it doesn't sound too insane for people that live in areas where there are actual people, but it's just so empty here. And Røros, I mean, Røros airport is kind of a almost a little bit of a joke if you've been to any main city airport. I didn't even know that there was an airport there until I just saw a sign, and I figured, what the hell is there actually an airport? So extra flights from Oslo. Um, yeah, that is a bit intimidating. Did I touch this with my hand? I'm hoping not to see any fingerprints. Oh, I just have to make sure that this is a bit more stable because it keeps bouncing around. I would love to live in a place with fewer people. As an introverted, extroverted world, that sounds very nice. Yeah, that has been very much our thought as well. And you're right, the world is very much set up around extroverts. I have quite extroverted tendencies, at least in my outwards personality, but after a very extroverted day, I am completely exhausted. And I know proper extroverts are supposed to get energy from people. I really don't. So I am really, really happy to live here. But of course, the problem is the more you are away from people, and I think everyone knows this after Corona and after lockdown, is that the longer you are away from being around people, the less and less used to it you get. Meaning that I used to live in cities. I've lived in Oslo, I've lived in Heidelberg, I've lived in Perth in Australia, which is a 1.8 million city, at least 1.5. So I should be used to it. But after all of this time now away from the city, and it didn't just start with me and Lena, I was away from the city a lot before that too. It gets more and more insane going into a city now. Uh, so your kind of tolerance for large crowds of people really, really, really goes down. And it takes a long time, if it then ever happens. I haven't been in the city for very long, for years and years now. Um, and it gets very difficult to go back. So in some ways, it's a decision that you should kind of only do once, and then either stick to it and meet friends at your place instead of going back into the city, because it's so full of things that are going on. I love it as an introvert. It's mostly quiet here, but it can also be a lot happening in the weekends and holidays. Every day, so yeah, exactly. It has both. That is exactly the thing. I would absolutely love to have an actual store, a shop in Røros, because it is very busy sometimes, and then it gets really, really quiet. So it kind of has, I think, the best of both worlds. Does not at all feel like a sleepy lost place, which has its charms. This is a place where we live now that no one knows about. Basically, people drive through here; they don't drive to it because it's not actually well, I mean, we are 60 people in this. It's not even called a village. But the little cities that have like 2, 3 thousand can be incredibly depressing. Whereas Røros has very few people and still very much an international feel, and it feels like it's full of interesting things that are happening, even though there are almost no one living there. So it's just this amazing mixture, I think. So then having a store there that's maybe just open a few times a week, or maybe just Saturdays. um, and then having that as well, because I do like kind of going through the streets and being among people. It is a nice thing to do as well. It is fun. It is cozy, and I would like to have more of that too. Hey, Miss Dobry. Watching Norwegian julekalender no time this year. A Swedish one, I think, is about tomter. Tomten, is that all right? I haven't watched the julekalender in ages. I think the last one I watched, oh God, it must have been ages ago. So I know Amalia's Yule, and then I don't really think I watched Blånisse a lot. And that was when I was about 10. So I haven't watched it in, oh God, I was 10. Oh my God, okay, I'm getting older. So I was 10, 23 years ago. Maybe I should. Are you watching it? What is it about? I should probably watch more Christmassy things. I mean, God, it's December. It's kind of begun. Let me know what it's about. I'm going to have a look and get a little bit into the Christmas holiday spirit. I've been so busy now that I've kind of forgot everything. And from Koppang lives like 500 people there. So yeah, so dead. Right. Yeah, Koppang feels. Yeah, I know Koppang. I lived in Rondane for a while. Solli by Attenbrua. And Koppang was the train station. And Koppang feels like at the end of the world, and it's actually in some ways more central than Røros in some ways, but it's no one drives there. No one. I'm not sure if there's any place that you can actually. I'm not sure if there's even a hotel. Um, and that I think would be a little bit depressing. So either I like to live the way that we do, which isn't absolutely anywhere. We live in the kind of in the wild. There, it's not a town or anything like that, or some place like Røros, which, as I said, it just basically has the best of both worlds. I live in a town in New Hampshire that has 13,000 people. We consider that on the small side. Yeah. I remember that when I talked to people that told me they were from places with like 10,000 people, I used to think that that was a small place, even though I grew up outside of Oslo where almost no people. But I still kind of considered myself from Oslo. Um, I no longer think that 10,000 people are few people. I now consider that kind of a big city. But that's just, yeah, that really is just what your reference is. I'm kind of think that places with 500 people is it's kind of a big place now. The other valley here, we live in a valley with about 60 people, and the next valley over has about 150, and it's considered quite busy. They even have a kindergarten that has just started up with, I think, 5 kids, which there are not enough people here to have anything like that. Trolls, I think the Swedish one. SVT. Oh yeah, I have to go in. Well, I'll have to take a look. They used to be really really cute. The Yule calendar. So I'll have to take a look. Maybe that's a tradition I should start up again. Okay, I'm just gonna go around here and put a little bit of kind of ground down where it's melted a bit, and then this one is done. Let's go on to the next one. This is very much the feel of painting for the Christmas launch. You're not really ever finished. You just go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and at some point you just kind of have to stop because it's night time. All right, what do I have? What do I have? Well, let's just do exactly the same thing on just on a different glass. So it's very similar. When I'm painting trees, I kind of get into a little tree zone, and I have the one kind of brush and so on. It's an easy, nice thing to do for a live stream. So let's just keep going. I think there are pros and cons. I don't really know my neighbors, so I think it would be nice to have, yeah, a sense of community. When I was younger, Koppang was actually a good place to grow up, but it is oh yeah, that is the thing that's happening a lot of places in Norway and I think around the world, that the small places are kind of dying out. I like the anonymity of it. That is true. But actually, I think in Røros, because of all the tourists, you do have a lot of anonymity that you wouldn't have in that size town usually. So I still think that you have that, but I'm not from Røros. I haven't lived there, so I don't know. Maybe everyone there knows everyone who actually lives there. But it does feel quite anonymous. Kind of like the word for spider in Swedish. Spindle. Spider. Spindle? What is it in Norwegian? I'm blanking here. Edderkopp. Spindle. Okay, I have no idea that that was in Swedish. Sometimes they're quite different than, yeah, Norwegian's edderkopp, which sounds like an old coffee pot. This is very true. Yes, the Swedes sometimes have completely different words for very random things, although it's a very similar language usually, most of the time. Let's do exactly the same thing here. I'm just going to paint one tree, very detailed. Oh, I didn't do that on, let's do it on this one though. Let's paint one tree. And then paint quite a lot of details and I can engrave it after it's been burned in the kiln. Yeah, the people in Røros are used to seeing a lot of, yeah, exactly. So you have a very different feeling. I know if you go to places like Koppang, you really feel that people usually don't see strangers that often, and you feel watched. Whereas in Røros, no one cares. There are so many people there. There are so many tourists um, that you're not really. No one is noticing you. So you kind of have that feeling that I know and like from big cities, where no one can really care about what you do, and you can just walk around quite anonymously. And I would still imagine that there is a community feeling in the Røros store, so you kind of get to know the people in the stores, but I'm not sure. As I said, we are at least toying with the idea of having a store there at some point, our Art of Nature store. I'm really curious how that would be. And hopefully the Christmas market now will give us a little taste of how it is. Of course, maybe I can't paint enough to have a store, and maybe the Christmas market is enough. I used to learn Norwegian because I used to talk to Norwegians, but we kind of lost. Oh, right. Well, you know Norwegians now. I hate going to the store in Koppa and can't hide. Everyone knows. It can be nice. Yeah, I know what you mean. So it can be nice, but there are definitely days, especially if you're introverted, where you don't want to see anyone. You just want to get to the store, get your things, go home, and hide under the blanket. And what you don't want is to meet anyone who would like to have a little small talk and talk about things, and you don't want to react to the world, which is not possible in these small places. I know every store here in a kind of a 10 kilometer, what am I talking about? A 10 miles radius. I know everyone that works in all of these stores slowly but surely now. And in a few years, we will know absolutely everyone. Except I'm assuming in Røros, I'm not sure how it is. Um, but of course, in the city, you can even just order online now. Yeah, I'm assuming that most of the people that follow me and Lena are on the introverted side of the spectrum. I don't think anyone follows along for 2 hours live streams of painting branches on a candle glass is particularly extroverted. I am mostly East Slavic and Italian origin, so that not that much different. well, well, I mean, Eastern Slavic would be. I mean, I have family connections or roots Kozanetsky from Ukraine, but I don't think that's is that Eastern Slavic, the Eastern Slavs. Um, but I mean, there are very much Scandinavian roots there as well, with the Rus and so on in Kiev, and so there have been quite a lot of intermingling and connections there, even though they've been a little bit lost lately. Although Italian, language-wise, would be more closely than Slavic languages, I think. But yeah, that is one of the reasons too why I'm so curious to eventually meet some of you guys that are, and some of from Lena's videos and so on, to kind of see what kind of people. We only see it in the comments, and I feel it here in the live streams that the community that follows us are just so incredibly nice people, and it's just going to be so interesting to meet some of you in person finally. We get the sweetest comments and feedback on the things that we sell and so on. Well, so you are born Austrian with Ukrainian roots, or is there more? Well, so I'm born Austrian. My mother is Norwegian. My father is German, but half, we think, something in Ukraine, which is Kozanetsky. There are stories about perhaps our family coming with the Cossacks in the Napoleonic Wars and settling in Germany. And on my grandmother's side, on my father's side, there are some Prussian roots, we think. It's all been a little bit lost in time. I think Kozanetsky, my last name there, means the lord of the goat farm, but I'm not entirely sure. I feel like people have lived in Belarus for many years do know almost every year, I would imagine, but I have only lived there 1 year. I often hear people like, "Oh, hi, is your knee or something in the story?" Yeah, yeah, okay. Interesting to see. Saturday evening with nothing to do, so what better way to spend it with 10 people watching you paint branches? That is lovely. Well, absolutely. I think that is a lovely thing. Why go to the clubs when you can just watch me painting branches? I am also pretty introverted. I miss the odd person maybe, but I tend to emotionally distance myself over time. Oh yeah, I know that. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to rekindle a relationship that had its time. I know exactly how I kind of started going off in the woods in little huts and cabins, and over the years I just kind of lost connections with one person after another. And for some reason, it's when people are around, I really like spending time with them. But if they're not in the immediate vicinity, I kind of lose touch over time. I'm mostly Polish and Ukrainian on my dad's side, but don't doubt that some Russian is in there. Yeah, over time, it's very difficult to know. Who needs a party when they are in Joachim's cozy live stream? I like that very much. And I mean, I love the mood in these live streams. And I think one thing, if we sell enough on this Christmas market, perhaps I can invest in some better equipment for a good setup. What I would really love is to have this mood with you guys here and a camera to really capture the mood and to see me properly and see everything, and then a detailed camera on the painting. So that is the goal, to really be able to invite you into an atmosphere here. But this is a good beginning, and we're kind of establishing it, I think, here. So my immediate instinct is to go on now and paint more trees, and let's resist that temptation. Let's just go around and paint a few small little details, so kind of some small rocks and so on, and then pry ourselves loose from this one and just go straight on to the next one. I'm only Slovak, but I think I do have German and Polish roots because of the last names in our family tree, right? And especially in that part of the world, there's been so much mixing that I think everyone has roots in basically all of the other neighboring places. I want to take that personality psychology at some point. It could be interesting, but this year, developmental psychology, right? I mean, there's so much, I think, going on in those fields as well. So you kind of have a lot of, I think a lot of the old theories are starting to get thrown overboard. And that personality is a lot more fluent, isn't it, than what was often thought. And I think a lot of people noticed that during Corona, that their personality can actually change quite a bit when the circumstances do. Let's see what we have here. Let's just do exactly the same thing again, but let's do it on this one. We have been going here for almost 2 hours now, so I think this will be the last glass. But oh, I have to do this again. Let's see here. If you open a store in Röros, eventually let me know. My boyfriend works in the newspaper. I would love to write an article. Oh, that would be wonderful. Absolutely. More than welcome to write an article about us and the store. Um, so most definitely, we probably won't be talking about much else for a very long time when that happens. So I am sure you um, will not miss that. So this is already engraved. Let's just do exactly the same thing. Let's move this here and let's get a tree down. But let's do a little bit more, a few more trees perhaps than just one. Let's see. I did that whole clubbing thing in my teens and early 20s. I had my right. I did that as well. I went to Australia for university and then at a few different universities, and I have experienced that. I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I don't have to do it again. I am also, even though I am really, 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 really happy that my 20s are behind me. To be honest, I definitely think it's a worthwhile experience to kind of live out to your 20s, but it's so nice to have them behind you and don't have to do that again. So yeah, I am completely finished with that. Oh, I'm 21 and I never had that desire, but definitely would love to travel and get out of my comfort zone at this stage in my life. Yeah, I would recommend doing that though. Um, if only so that you can completely settle down and never have to do it again once you get a bit older. Um, but it's definitely something I think if you've never gotten out of your comfort zone and then you're in your 30s, it's going to get very difficult to then do it. Or you have some wonderful, huge crisis and do it in your 40s or 50s, which is usually not a pretty sight. But to just do a few stupid things, um, let yourself kind of go a little bit, and then you can retire in your 30s or late 20s. Um, and of course, don't only do that. Come to the live streams and enjoy a quiet, nice Saturday, and don't feel like you have to. I think often I did too much of those things that I thought I should do, and although I spent a lot of Saturdays just sitting painting inside, but I often felt bad about it, and I shouldn't have. Even if you're 18, it's perfectly legitimate to spend your weekends building miniature landscapes in the attic, I think, although the world perhaps disagrees. I think the first step will be moving out of my childhood home, but this economy had not. Oh yeah, I know that, Kaylin. I did move out when I was 19, but I did move back in when I was 23. Um, so life kind of goes in stages, and never ever look to other people's life stages. I am just happy my degree is over now. I take whatever I want, but should finish that social media certificate at some point. Right. Yeah, I am. Well, I never finished my degree, and I'm quite happy with that too. I am really, really glad I never worked with in political science. I thought it was really interesting and it was fun, but oh, I'm glad that I didn't finish and get a job. I should go back on social media more, cut back. Oh, right, I thought about what? Um, that's very rarely that people say they should be more on social media. Though I'm a lot better. I think everyone is grappling with how much and how they are on social media. In a way, I think kind of our entire culture is learning how to behave and how to use it. So I think that's in a way it's a kind of a collective effort to figure out how we are going to use it. I get pain in my arms if I tap around on my phone too much. So I'm kind of in a way I'm kind of lucky like that. I've been forced to not really use social media other than creating and doing streams and so on for like a year now, which has actually been really nice. I can relate. I'm 28. I still live with my parents too, but can't wait to finally move somewhere abroad in Europe. Yeah, I lived with my parents when I was 28 too. Lived abroad a lot before that, but yeah, sometimes it. Well, it was a really really big help. Um, yeah, I think just enjoy every stage. I know there are so many different stages. I wish I just enjoyed more. Um, Even living up in the attic by my parents. Just there will come a different time, and I should have enjoyed it more than I did. I've been reading a book. I think Lena has recommended The Way of Integrity. Yes, she has, and that's been helping me figure out how to deal with society. It is really really good. I haven't really read through it, but I've heard quite a bit of her podcasts from Martha Beck. That book is, and she talks about exactly that. So stop doing what you think everyone expects from you. You might seem very weird. People might sometimes not like you. You might lose friends, but in the end, it's really, really worth it. I am not as far along as I would like to be with that, but I could definitely do with just being a bit more strange and not caring what other people think. Those people that I want around me are not going to care. I told my dad I love internet because it's given me more opportunity than I could ever dream of, but I still do but liked it more before it played a dominance in everyone's life. Yeah, I think that's the way that a lot of people are thinking about it now. Is that it's I know there's a lot of reminiscence about the time that it was before, but of course I couldn't sit here and have you guys along with me painting in the middle of nowhere and having a job that is painting and selling things to the United States from a little lake, but it does drive the world a bit crazy as well. So I don't think there's a way back, but hopefully there is a better way forwards. I'm really, really curious to see what way everything is going to take. Hopefully we're going to learn to deal with it in a good way. And I mean, just the fact that you are saying that, and a lot of people are saying things like that, I think is already a very good sign. We have to start questioning it and how we deal with it before anything is going to change there. I read The Human Edge by Greg. Oh, I haven't heard about that. About uniqueness, human characteristics, and not Oh, right, not competing. Yeah, yeah, we're not. We're gonna lose if we compete. I think. Just focus on what we can do well. That is something. Lena was in Hamburg, a big city where she grew up in Germany, a few weeks ago, and she just described the energy there, which was quite intimidating. And a lot of that, I think, we just don't really um, get here. We live so incredibly isolated, so we're not. It sometimes feel like we're not really a part of that world anymore, which is something I'm actually enjoying a lot. And while I'm assuming that AI at some point will be able to do this, hopefully you will still want to see me do it instead of a computer. I am pretty sure that even if a computer could, and it might, there is still worth in knowing that there was a human who did it. Well, I mean, like the dominance of social media, more or less, more or less. So just what? Sorry, you have to explain that. So just. Um, You mean just that there is so much of it in everyone's life that we're not really? I'm just assuming just the fact that we're kind of living so much on online, or just the focus on it. I know just this the focus on what's happening there is, and I mean with everyone's phone. I think even if you took away social media, the kind of addictiveness of just having that phone is quite strong. Yeah, exactly. But in a way, I think I mean, this is, of course, we are on social media now, but I feel like this is a very different way of using it than it's usually used, because often you watch lots of things, you watch reels and you jump from one thing to another, which does very strange things to our brains. Whereas now you've actually been with me for over 2 hours, painting branches and chatting, and this, I would say, is a very healthy way of using it. Um, I know after a live stream like this, I always feel good, as opposed to if I've just spent 2 hours going through social media feeds and jumping from one thing to another. I feel really spent and strange and not very good. Whereas after having this type of focus, I feel better. And I feel quite connected, and I love the chat here. So it seems like there are positive ways of using it. Good night, Maria. Thank you for joining and staying here for almost 2 hours. So good night. It was lovely to have you here, and I'm hope to see you in the donos. I'm sure we will. This is absolutely true, Kaylin. The attention, I think the attention span of the people in this particular live stream has not been damaged by social media. Um, I think if you've stayed here now for 2 hours, you don't have to be afraid that you don't have a attention span anymore. Because this is exactly that, which is difficult for a lot of people to do these days, is to stick with one thing for an extended amount of time. I think we're doing quite all right. Now, of course, this will never be something that then takes over the world. We're probably going to stay a few dozen people in these streams, but that's all right. And I think we've gone all the way around here once. And a 2 hour live stream is probably enough. But this has been really, really nice. And it's so nice to just sit here and paint, do my job, and have you guys along with me here. It's just such a cozy atmosphere, and I hope to do more of that, and I hope to have a better setup. Um, Absolutely, Kaylin. So let's try to keep it small. Uh, that keeps this atmosphere here. Absolutely. I have only been for 45 minutes, but usually I am duolingual or doing homework most of the day, except on weekends. I am trying to tone it down. 45 minutes is still very much, it's still quite a long time to follow along with this, with this kind of thing. No, so I just want to thank you guys so much for joining me here and being a part of this. It's really really nice, and it's nice to slowly but surely get to know you more. Loved watching and listening to the stream. Thanks and good night. Thank you, Yelu. Oh, thank you for taking the time to be a part of it. Without you guys, this wouldn't make much sense. And for being here so often and so and enjoying the stream. Okay, so thank you all. It's been lovely, and I hope to do it again soon. I'm just gonna clean my brush here a little bit and wind down. I don't like just turning off the stream too quickly. So I'm gonna put this away. What I can actually do is put this, there we are. So on here a little bit more. Oh, I have to put it away. Like so, and you can actually see me now. Just gonna put the candle glass away. Like so. Yeah, so this is my setup now, and I have a mirror here. Um, yeah, and I hope to do this much more once I get a better setup, because I have this idea of just having this kind of environment and doing much more of this. Okay, so thank you everyone, and good night.